All right, let's start the second half of the meeting with the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. All right, and is everyone grabbing a seat? Did you not have time to get coffee during the break? And I even heard that I extended the break. People were giving me crap because I didn't start the meeting on time. So, while we're waiting for everyone to find their seats, I did have something to say. One of the counselors asked me to make an announcement. For those of you guys that are looking for sponsors and for people that do have time, who's looking for sponsors? Nancy, take a look around. And for you guys that have sponsors or that go out that are in RBH, please take a look around. If you know people that are sponsoring or if you guys are sponsoring, take a look around and help your fellow FBRS brothers out because, you know, especially the guys who are in residential, they need to hook up with a sponsor so they can graduate and all that jazz, and they might need some support. So just keep that in mind. So, all right, it's my pleasure to introduce Richard, who is our main speaker tonight. Let's give him a round of applause.
Good evening, guys. I'm a problem named Richard. I'm a recovered alcoholic.
Richard!
I have a sobriety date of September 3rd of 2024. I have a sponsor who knows he's my sponsor because I call him every day. And I'm current and actively working with him at steps and principles on a daily basis. Hermosa Beach Men's Stag is my home group. We meet every Monday night from 7:30 to 9. We call it a man school. That's where little boys go to grow up. And as some people in here can attest, and my home group, I'm very early in that process. So I'm looking forward to growing up a little bit each and every day. By the grace of God in this program, Honesty in Action, I also have the honor and privilege to be called sponsor. And those guys are driving me crazy and saving my life at the same time, and I appreciate that. And I don't say all that to impress anybody here, even though it does impress me a little bit because that's not how it was before. But I say that to impress upon you that was the recipe that was given to me when I first came here in order to overcome a disease that is a hopeless state of mind and body, right? That's the solution to that. That's what was given to me, and it's been working in my life and countless others, so I continue to work it. First off, I'd like to thank my Creator who's been guiding me for these last 17 months, whether I'm willing or not, whether I'm willing to work or not. Sometimes I work the program, sometimes it works me. I'm very active in Alcoholics Anonymous, but I am by no means a perfect example of anything around here. I make a lot of mistakes, both drunk and sober. I want to thank Nancy. It's always an honor and privilege to be asked to speak. I've been doing a lot of these speaking engagements, and it's always an honor and privilege. Thank you so much, Nancy. I appreciate you. I'd like to thank Roxy and Fred Brown for helping me save my life, man. I've been to a lot of treatment centers, and this one is different. No, I knew that right away when I was in the process of doing my auto and writing letters and seeing the people, the employees around here that came through here just like I did. And one of them was Rob Bartlett, and he took me under his wing, and he started showing me the ropes and guiding me along this process, man. And I'll be forever grateful to that. I'd like to also thank my buddy Danny G right here, man. I don't think you understand how vital and instrumental you were to me in my early recovery, sitting in that breezeway with you and having someone to read the big book with. We were reading Body Keeps the Score, reading psychological books, and every day in that breezeway at 5 in the morning, man, talking recovery throughout the day and bouncing up our mistakes off each other. Man, I really appreciate you. It meant a lot to me. So with all that being said, I'd like to start the meeting. I've been doing this a while. Lois Wilson, the wife of the co-founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, Bill Wilson, and the co-founder of the Al-Anon group, she was asked what she did in the moment of silence before the Serenity Prayer before the meeting, and she said she liked to invite God into the room, and I thought that was cool, man. I don't do that because I don't think He's already here, and I don't think that there's anywhere that He is not. But my God is a gentleman, and He never goes where He's not invited and never stays where He's not welcome. So I'd just like to take a quick moment to invite God in here so He can maybe touch your guys' heart, maybe open your mind a little bit, open your hearts, maybe hear a message. And at that same time, speaking of the message, I hope He comes and works through me, man. And I pray that I may decrease so that He can increase, and that you guys may hear a message, man. Because if I get up here talking about ego, you're going to hear a lot of prison, you're going to hear a lot of cool stuff and how I was a baller and how all the beautiful women I had, right? But that's not the case. Maybe once upon a time, but it wasn't like that at the end. So yeah, just take a quick moment of silence. And if you don't have a God of your own understanding, please, you can use mine. He's pretty amazing. All right. So I'll qualify real quick, and I'll try to get us sober as soon as possible. But I was born in the late 70s. I came out kicking and screaming because the doctor just spanked me in the ass, and kicking because my mom and dad were both one of us, man. They were heroin addicts and gang members, and even when she really wanted to, my mom couldn't stop, right? So I had heroin in my system. They kept me in the incubator for a couple months so I could fully sprout. I went home with my parents. They're both from Paramount, from Dogpatch. My pops is from Florencia, so they're heavily in gang and heroin activities back in the days. And I remember at an early age, my mom always being gone, being at the babysitters and being at the home by myself. For some reason, I can remember when I was like 3 years old. For some reason, like really, really young, and just being by myself. And always wondered where my mom was. Never met my dad. He was out of the picture. He was in prison. And I remember when I was 4 years old, my mom decided to rob a bank with some of her friends, and I got took from my mom. I got sent to my grandparents. And I like to tell you that my life drastically changed, even though it did. I like to tell you that it changed for me inside, but it didn't. They're an upper middle class family in Orange County, in Anaheim, both retired, Navy man, retired housewife on a pension. They had money. And I was spoiled, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I had everything that I ever could have wanted: clothes, good school, all the toys I wanted, good food, shelter, everything that a kid could want and need, right? Materially. But my grandma was one of us too, man. She was an alcoholic, and I don't know if you remember the big bottles of Ernest and Julio Gallo wine that had the little thing on it, the little handle. She used to knock back 2 of those a day, and I used to come home from school, and I never knew what grandma I was gonna get. Right? I would get the super lovey-dovey grandma that was going to make me cookies, and we were going to watch Family Matters together and hug and kiss and do all that good stuff. Or I would get the alcoholic tyrant that would just rip into me and call me an incorrigible liar and point out all the messed up things I was doing in school and how I was just like my mom and dad and that I was going to be just like them and I was no good. And that was the first time I remember as a kid really not being good enough. You know what I mean? I started really turning inverted, looking at me like, man, am I a piece of shit? Am I, and I started feeling like a burden to them because they're supposed to be enjoying their golden years, right? And I'm right there, a little kid, and I'm rambunctious, I'm a little excitable, so I started having those thoughts of not feeling good enough. I remember being about 7 when I first had the thought of, man, their lives would be better without me here. And that's a cold thought to have when you're 7, when you start having those ideations and stuff. I don't have enough courage to actually carry those things out, but those thoughts alone will set me up for some thinking later on in life. And that all these things don't make me alcoholic though. And my sponsor says it well, man. Like, you could give a non-alcoholic too much to drink, right? And they might throw up. They might even throw up on themselves, right? But that doesn't make them alcoholic. You could give a You could give a non-alcoholic too much liquor at the bar, and they might drive home and get pulled over and get a DUI. That doesn't make them alcoholic, man. See, that's what alcohol does to you. You know what I mean? I'm an alcoholic, and I let drugs and alcohol do a lot to me on account of what it once did for me. And when I was 12 years old, in the summer between 6th and 7th grade, I was really into sports, man. God blessed me with some abilities, man. I've always been naturally good at any kind of sport: baseball, basketball, football. I shoot it. Even to this day, I play ball. So I really dove into that. That was my, besides attention, I think attention was my first drug of choice. Once I got that and got the taste of that, I started seeking that. And I learned that through my grandma and through getting attention, the power of manipulation, right? The power of putting on a show and putting on a stage character and song and dance, and I can make you like me, right? I had this, since as early as I can remember, I had this uncontrollable desire to be liked, right? And I also, what came along with that was this this compulsion and obsession, this self-consciousness, right? Constantly wondering if you're thinking about me, what you're thinking about me. If you're not thinking about me, why aren't you thinking about me? And it's just this in my head about it all the time. I used to, like, I don't know if you guys ever saw The Truman Show. That's how it kind of felt, like there was cameras on me, and like, I don't know, I just felt watched, right? And it was me watching me. That's the obsession and the manifestation of selfishness that starts early on for me. But like I said, that summertime, I was down there at the park. I used to take my basketball net, I used to go put it on the hoop, and I would shoot hoops by myself from 7 in the morning until my grandpa came to get me for dinner at 5 o'clock. Never made it home on time. But he was that would be every day. I'm down there shooting hoops. Michael Jordan was my guy. This is late 80s. That's all I did. I'd go down there and practice fadeaway jump shots and dunking on the little rim, and just all day long, that was my jam. And I was a pretty good baller. I remember the first day of summer, I was down there with a buddy of mine, and these older kids from the neighborhood, I knew them. One of them played Little League with me. He was a little bit older, and they came down and they were smoking weed. They had a joint. They were like, "Hey, bro, you want some of this?" And we're like, "No." Like I said, I was an all-star baseball player. I had a paper out. I used to deliver the paper for the Orange County Register. Popular in school, just a normal suburban white kid. And I was like, nah, DARE program was really cracking at that time. So I was like, no way. No way, sir, I don't want those drugs. You know what I mean? And the next day they came, we were down there doing the same thing. It was like deja vu, right? Down there doing the same thing, and they came, and they were like, "Hey, you want to hit this?" And me and my friend looked at each other, and we looked at them, we're like, "Yup." Because me and him had talked about it the night before, man. We were curious. We're like, "What is that stuff, man? It smells really good." So I remember going over there, and we took a hit of this joint, and I'm coughing, and I'm spitting up, and I'm like dying, right? And then it hit me. Man. Everything just fucking slowed down, right? And this, for the first time in my life, I went like this. I didn't realize I had been tense for 12, 13 years, man. I was just balled up, always on alert, right? And that lifted from me, man. That self-consciousness, I wasn't worried about what people were thinking about me then. I just knew, right? I didn't know then what I know now, right? But this might have been a sign of alcoholism addiction. My very first thought was, I found it. I want to be like this all the time. And that's the thought I chased, man, that feeling right there. And I chased it hard. I wouldn't say that I progressed slowly, but that wasn't my story. Within 2 months, I had run away from home, and I was living in the Santa Ana riverbed with a bunch of taggers. I went from a nice little paper out having white kid to wearing tube socks and shaving my head instantly. I was just running amok, and I was doing beer runs and stealing car stereos and doing meth, and it was fast, just instant. Like, that was my life. And I found another addiction in stealing stuff and being liked by the homies and all that good stuff. And I remember a couple months of being homeless. I think it was like 4 or 5 months of being homeless. I got caught on the 91 freeway in the center divider. I was hitting up some graffiti on the center divider, and the CHP rolled up on me and busted me. All my friends ran, and dude, he seen how young I was. He was like, "Man, how old are you?" I'm like, "I'm about to be 13." He's like, "Jesus." He's like, "What are you doing out here?" I said, "I'm homeless. Like, I'm a runaway." He's like, "All right." So they took me to my grandparents' house, and I remember sitting in the car in the back looking at him at the front door while he's talking to my grandparents, and then he came back out, and he got in the car, and he just like looked at me. He's like, "They don't want you anymore. Like, they can't handle you anymore. You're too much." And I was like, it kind of reinforced that feeling, like, yeah, I knew I was too much for them. I should have never been here, And they said, "But you can go in the backyard, and they're gonna give you some food and a change of clothes. Your mom's gonna pick you up." And that's the only thing I heard, man. I said, "My mom. That's amazing. I got a mom, And she came up from San Diego. She was on the run from a federal warrant. She was living in San Diego. She was a coyote. She was moving bicycles with her bicycle boyfriend. That was her lick. And she came and swooped me up, and we moved to San Diego. And I'd like to tell you once again that my life changed for the better, because I had my mom in my life again and my little brother. But that wasn't the case. We moved smack dab into the place called National City. It's down there by the border, predominantly Mexican neighborhood. Matter of fact, I think we were the only white people within a 100-mile radius. And within 90 days, 3 months, I was already from a neighborhood. I was already gangbanging and doing that whole jive. One of my older homies paroled from the joint. He was 23. I was about 14. And he took a liking to me, and we started running amok together. Everything he did, I did. And he liked to shoot methamphetamine and heroin, and I started shooting and doing all that thing, running around with pistols, driving stolen cars, hunting other humans that were related to other alphabetical denominations than I was, and that was my thing, and I really liked it. And when I was 14 years old, I ended up catching an attempted murder and got sent to the youth authority. I did 3 years in youth authority, and I came back on an appeal, and they dropped that attempt to an assault with a firearm and discharging a firearm in a public place, and I got let go. Once again, I'd like to tell you that I took God's grace and I decided to change my life, but that's not the case, man. I think I was out about 2 months, and I ended up catching my first term. I signed for 6 years and ended up doing 6 years at 18 years old, and I got out thinking that I had arrived, man. I was in there politicking, doing my thing, pretend to be a tough guy, and I got out, and I took over my neighborhood, man. I just started running amok in my neighborhood, and it was all bad. It was just all bad. I ended up doing violation after violation after violation after violation, and there's multiple stories of prison in my story, over 25 years of incarceration, right? I ended up getting a job through parole and meeting a girl at that job. We started dating. We ended up having some kids. I got 2 boys. They're both now 19 and 20 years old. I like to say that I was a good husband. That is not the case, man. I drugged that woman through the dirt for 17 years. Multiple incarcerations. I ended up catching another term in 2009 for an armed robbery, second armed robbery, and I ended up catching 10 years. I went in the joint, and I ended up catching a stabbing. I ended up in Pelican Bay, right? And that's where I did my whole term. If anyone's been up that way or been in level 4, this is another cha-cha, man. The mask is on and the chest is out, and there's just all gas, no brakes. And that's the way I lived for a long time, man. And it changed me. It changed me a lot, man. I don't all just recover from drugs and alcohol. I'm also recovering from a lifestyle and a way of life that I've also had to recover from, man. Sometimes that's harder than drugs and alcohol. But that's been a constant with my story. So I ended up getting out from that prison term. Once again, I go to treatment. I had nowhere to go. While I was gone, my mom had passed away. My grandparents had passed away. My sister had disowned me. The girl of 17 years had moved to Riverside to get away from me. And took the kids with her, and I was by myself. And I ended up going to treatment center one more time, trying to get my life together. And this recurring pattern keeps happening when I go to treatment, right? I get on the phone, whether I'm homeless or whether I'm in prison or whatever the case may be, right? I get on the phone and I'm begging to get into a treatment center. Roxy, please let me in. I'll do anything you tell me to do, please, right? And she's like, okay, and she lets me in. And somewhere about 30 days, 35 days, I start eating some good Fred Brown food. That Fred Brown 40 starts kicking in, right? I'm back there hitting the weight pile. I'm starting to buff up. The little tweaker marks are fading off of my face. My feet don't stink anymore. I got clean underwear on, right? I've been drinking water. I had salad and fresh fruit in the same day. I'm living my best fucking life, right? And then about 35 days in, right? I start complaining about the help, right? I start telling the help how they should help me. Right? Man, why I gotta wake up this early? Why I gotta write these goddamn letters? Chicken again, right? This bed's lumpy, right? Why I gotta do this chore? And I start picking apart the very help that's trying to help me, man. And I can't see for my own vision, right? And then what usually happens, not at this place, but it happens before, is that I get like that, right? And then I stop, I go to meetings, I stop hearing a message, man, because I start feeling myself. It's my buddy Bill Cleveland calls it the return of the egoic system, right? My ego kicks back in, and my mind says, man, it wasn't that bad, right? It wasn't that bad. Man, you got this, right? I got the old, it talks about in the big book, it says, the old will to fight has returned, right? I'm back. I can do this. I don't need this, right? And then I start posting up in meetings with my legs crossed, kick back like this, right? And then I look over, and me and Nancy made eye contact. She didn't say nothing, but I can tell she thinks I'm cute, right? So then I'm off and running, right? I'm off and running. I can't hear a message, and I'm worried about getting Jordans and a car and all this stuff. And I'll tell you a story. This has happened multiple times, right? I get to RBH, right? I do 90 days in treatment. I go to all the groups. I'm sharing like I'm a counselor in group, right? Matter of fact, one of the guys said it. I should get a sign around me with a little string around it that says, "I am not a counselor," right? Right? Because I started helping guys with their 4-step. You know what I mean? I got this thing figured out. Don't trip. So I'm in RBH, right? I got a job. Now, mind you, it's a 12-hour shift job in graveyard. I recommend that you guys do not do that when you get to RBH, right? Especially if you do crystal or cocaine. Like, don't do that. So I'm working 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week. I'm in RBH. I got myself a little car, right? I've met her, right? So I'm taking her out to eat and doing that thing. I got a sponsor. I got a sponsor name, and we go out to meetings to look cute. And I'm now in self-pay sober living, so I'm paying rent to be there. And one day, it's a Friday night. I'm going home, and I just got paid. I pull over to this liquor store, and I go there because this Chinese lady cashes my checks for free, right? So I'm right there, and I'm waiting my turn. I'm about to cash this check. I'm about to go pay my rent for sober living, go pay my phone bill, and go take her to get her nails done, right? That's our plan. Then we got to go get her son. She got a DCFS case that I'm a part of now, just because we're living together. We're gonna move out, right? So we're gonna go. I got shit to do, right? And I'm standing and waiting in line. And I look over, and it's the beer aisle, right? Man, my mind says, in my own voice, it says, "Man, you deserve a beer, bro. You've been working really hard." Right? But I got some experience under my belt, right? I'm like, no way. I can't do that. You know what happens every time. And the same voice said, "Well, yeah, just get a 16 ounce. Not the tall can. And my mind said, well, duh, right? Exactly, right? So I buy the 16 ounce. I'm sitting in the parking lot. I catch my check. I'm sitting in the parking lot, and somewhere about 7 ounces in, something changes. Right? Something changes in me. And what I know now, what I didn't know then, right? I have this phenomenon of craving. It's the allergic reaction to drugs and alcohol, right? My mind just wants one, but my body wants 1,000 of them, right? My body, that drink wants a drink, right? And those 2 drinks want 4 drinks. Those 4 drinks want 8 drinks. The 8 want 16. The 16 want 32. And I can't understand for the life of me while I'm butt naked, covered in lotion, peeking out of a hotel room 7 days later. How did that happen? How did that happen, right? If you would have hooked me up to a lie detector test when I got that beer, and they said, "Richard, just one?" "Yeah, just one 16 ounce, please." "Are you sure? Just one?" Of course. I would have passed the test. All I wanted was one. Yeah. Every single time, I just want one. So how do I end up, like I just said, time and time again? Over and over and over again. See, my experience with drugs and alcohol have shown me everything I need to know about my relationship with drugs and alcohol. 35 years of addiction and alcoholism, right? The track record's right there. If you put it on paper, which I suggest you do, put it on paper and you look at it, it shows me what's happened every single time. Prison, rehab, homeless, broken relationship, homeless, prison, right? There's a pattern. It's pretty evident when I look at it. So the book talks about, man, with all the things that are about to happen when I take that drink, right? Knowing what's going to happen. It's happened every single time. How do I take the drink again? Right? It says in the literature, it says, at certain points in time, my mind fails to bring forth with sufficient force and energy that tremendous ass whooping from just a week and a month ago. It says it in better language of that, but like I forget. I got a built-in forgetter, right? I can't get high on the truth. The truth, 35 years of active addiction shows me what happens every time. So I can't get high on the truth. I can't drink on the truth. So what happens? I gotta buy a lie. My mind's gotta tell me in my own voice, hey, you don't have a disease today. Do it like this. Man, don't drink that, drink this. Don't shoot up no more, just smoke it. Just this, just that, 1,000 different ways. It talks about literature, 1,000 forms of experimentation, switching from scotch to brandy, just drink it in the morning, just drink it, right? I've done all those things. Maybe if I just shoot up like this, it won't happen like that again, right? Right? That's what my mind will tell me. And then I'm homeless again or in prison, wondering about what happened. And there's some questions that were in the readings. It talks about Let me see if I can find it real quick. I don't want to butcher it. Okay, at the end of the reading it says, our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear three pertinent ideas. A, that we're alcoholic and could manage our lives. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. And C, God and could and would if he were sought. I turn those statements into questions, right? That we're alcoholic. A, am I an alcoholic? That's a good, you might want to ask yourself if you're an addict or an alcoholic, right? What defines an alcoholic, right? It's if, when you really want to, right? Has anyone in here ever tried to quit, like for real? Like ever wanted to quit and tried? What happened? I got loaded. I got loaded. Hey, so I've done this too. I've wife's about to divorce me. She's like, I'm gonna leave you if you keep this up. I'm out of here, right? My daughter's crying like, Daddy, don't go outside. Don't leave, right? So I really want to. I need to. I've needed to for years, right? But now I really want to. And I quit on a Sunday night. That's it, I'm done. Break the pipe, dump the alcohol, all that, break the rig. And then on Wednesday, I find myself, some trivial reason, I got a beer in my hand again. And I thought I made a decision to drink again. What I understand now is that I am beyond all mental control. I have no choice whether I'm going to drink again. I am going to drink again. Sitting right here with 17 months of sobriety, I will drink again. That's scary. There's a little bit of healthy fear involved in that, man. So thank God there's a solution to this, man. So I came to Fred Brown this time. This time I'd like to tell you I was balling out there and I came from prison and all that stuff. But I was actually, right before I came here, before I was graciously let in here, I was living on next to the 405 freeway in the bushes into this dugout cave with a tarp over it. I called it my masturbation cocoon. And that's where I was living in the earth, man. And my day consisted of going to the cigarette butt receptacle in front of this bar. The bar was called Poor Richard's too, so yeah. To the bar, to the riverbed to get drugs, and back to my little cave. Cigarette butts, drugs, cave. Cigarette butts, drugs, cave. I'm the type of paranoid weirdo when I'm on meth that even the homeless people don't want to hang out with me. I swear to God, like I get real weird and I get violent. I'm carrying around big metal objects and I'm like, "You talking about me?" That type of shit. And so these dudes used to give me drugs to get rid of me. Like, here, just give him the drugs, he'll leave. You know what I mean? So I'm living there and this is after, like I said, 35 years of addiction, 25 years in prison, broken relationships, kids abandoned, all this demoralization. I mean, I'm just miserable. I'm depressed. I'm crying myself to sleep every night. I'm listening to love songs where you're crying about her. Like that was my days, man. And after about 6 months out there, my girl called. She was like, "Fool, you're still out there?" And I was like, "Right? That's a great question, right? You're still out there? There's other options, right? What are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't know." She's like, "I thought you'd be in rehab making your way back to us and the family." But I thought it was over. I got this disease that likes depression and self-pity and just to belittle myself till I'm just a ball, right? So she said, "I'm coming to get you." I said, "Oh, okay." Like, right now? right? Like right now? She's like, "Yeah, fool, today." I'm like, and my mind's like, "Man, I just made this shit waterproof." Like, man, you know what I mean? Like, fuck, I just got it dialed in. That's my disease, bro. My disease wanted me out there a little bit longer. And I said, "All right." And she came and got me, man. And I got in the car and she looked at me and she said, "You smell like earth." Not dirt, not sweat, not urine, even though I probably smelled like those things. She said, "You smell like earth." Because I've been living in the earth, bro. And she said, this is a powerful moment. She looked at me and she said, "Are you hungry?" And bro, I've never felt more little in my life, bro. I just looked at her. I couldn't even say. The man of many words, right? For once in his life, he was speechless. I just looked at her like. She's like, "You want a shower?" And I had nothing to say, man. And that woman took me and she cleaned me up and she fed me and she let me back into our house one more time. One more time. I had a moment, man, in that house about a week later. I'm waiting to get into Fred Brown. You know, there's a week, maybe 10-day waiting list. Sometimes longer depending on what's going on. But I had been calling every day. And I'm sitting there in our living room. We got nice furniture, and the house smells like my daughter. You know, if you guys know that smell, if you guys got kids, man, she smells like my little girl. And there's food in the pantry. I got my clothes on because she didn't give me all my clothes, you know. So I had Jordans on. I'm dressed nice. I had gotten a haircut, and I'm sitting on our couch and our TV. We got everything, right? And I'm sitting there crying, man, because she's at work. I'm there by myself. Kids are at school, and I'm crying because I'm about to walk to the riverbed and do a shot, man. And I'm crying because I don't want to, but I know that I'm about to, man. I'm about to go do this, man. I don't have no other recourse. And I thought, by the grace of God, man, I called this dude that I had heard speak at the Salvation Army while I was there about a year before. I said, Paul, I need help, man. Help me. I'm about to go do it again, one more time. And he said, sit still, man. I got you, man. And he talked to me. He talked to me until the obsession lifted a little bit, right? And so I didn't make a permanent decision on a temporary feeling, right? That things pass sometimes. Sometimes we're in the middle of the obsession. It'll pass, man. We don't feed into it too much. So I came to Fred Brown, man, whooped. I don't know if you guys know what whooped is, but I was whooped, man. So I walked in, and I'm be forever grateful to Nancy, man, with those sweet, endearing blue eyes, right? She took off her shades and looked at me. She said, put your stuff down. Here's something to eat. Get some rest. The war is over, you know? And I believed her, man. I believed her. Just the way she looked at me, and I could tell she got those Paul Newman eyes that have seen some things, you know what I mean? And I was like, all right, man. And I went and I put my stuff down and I got some rest, man, and I knew it was gonna be all right. I don't know why this time was different, but I knew it was gonna be all right. But I also know there's some action behind that. Right? There's some surrender behind that. There's some work behind that. So I got to work, man. Started knocking out letters. Started being of service, taking the trash out, helping in the kitchen, doing whatever. Nancy, you need help? Nancy, you need help? She probably got tired of me asking if she needed help. But I was just willing to go to any lengths, man. And then I started seeing some hope. I started getting some things back in my life. And I went to RBH. I graduated, went to RBH. My experience shows me that I always start working, I always get a car, I always get her, I always get all these things, right? And I decided not to do that this time. I decided to work the 12 steps. I started following my sponsor around. I got one of the best sponsors in the game. He's got a good talker, right? He can say some things, but he showed me more by his actions than he ever could with his mouthpiece. We started getting into service immediately. I started doing panels. I started speaking at different places. I started doing step work. I started fellowshipping. I started going to all kinds of meetings every night of the week. And another big part of my recovery is Tom Hyatt, man. He was my facilitator in my RBH groups. He took a liking to me, man. He started talking to me after group and these little things like that. It's in our motto on our company logo, and I know Roxy knows what I'm talking about. But it really hit home for me, and it's important. I try to incorporate it when I'm at 14th Street dealing with my guys. It says, if you treat a man as he is, he will remain as he is. But if you treat a man how he can be, he will become that. Yes. And that's what was done for me here, man. They started seeing something in me and talking to me and showing me a different path to where I started believing it, man. So I worked the 12 steps. I got commitments. I started doing all these things. And when I was about to be graduated, the opportunity came for me to be a house manager. It just worked out that way. You know, things work out that way. I became a house manager, started managing house, and that was a game changer, man. I started working at the car wash. I was washing dishes up in Rolling Hills on the weekends, working 2 jobs, house managing, and just really grateful, man. Really grateful. Then the opportunity came again for me to work here. I got hired on as a program assistant, man. And that's absolutely changed my life, man. I love what I do for a living. It's given me purpose. I love dealing with my guys at 14th Street, man. It's just amazing to be able to talk to the dudes that I was just at. You know what I mean? And try to be some kind of example of what could happen. Maybe not this, but something like this. You know what I mean? Somewhere else. Like, who knows? But man, hope is real, man. The promises in this book are real. 12 steps is a pathway to the power. What is my dilemma? I lack power. This 12 steps shows you how to get the power, right? And I say I'm a recovered alcoholic not because I'm cured. I say that because based on what I did this morning, how I woke up. I got straight into my prayer meditation life. I started developing these conscious contact with a power greater than myself, man. And it becomes second nature. I have a prayer that I say in the morning. It says, please divorce my thinking from self-seeking, self-pity, depression, and self-centered motives. Make me spiritually fit to be of maximum service to you and my brothers and sisters. And that's it. That's all I need. And I go out and I try to do that. I'm not perfect. You know, some days that seeking of the power is obscured by pomp, calamity, and circumstance and worship of other things. You know, sometimes it's good things. Sometimes my daughter is the most important thing about my day. Sometimes it's Jordan's. You know, it's different, you know, but most days I have that mindset, man. And I'm still active in Alcoholics Anonymous. So if I'm not at work, that's where I'm at. And if I'm not there, I'm at home trying to be of service to my daughter. And I'll say this and be quiet. I shared this the other day, and it was a powerful moment for me. I had just finished my third step prayer with my sponsor. He told me to go home and meditate for a little bit. I ended up going to my girl's house, and I was playing with my daughter, and we played 1,000 times, right? And I'm not good at that because I'm selfish, right? It's hard for me to really get into it because she wants to do what she's 5. She wants to do what she wants to do. She's a cheater. You know, she doesn't play fair, you know what I mean? And she wanted me to play pony, right? She's really into horses, so she wanted me to play pony, and I played it with her before, but I was never really a good pony because I always want to be the pony I want to be, right? You know what I mean? I'm doing my own thing, you know, like, and not listening, you know what I mean? She's trying to pull me around. I'm not going where she wants me to go because I'm my own pony, right? So this one moment, man, I don't know how it happened, but I just told myself, you know what? Just be the pony she wants to be, bro, you know? And I totally submitted. I wasn't a man pretending to be a pony, bro. I became a pony. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how this happened. I've never been able to pull it off again, but I became a pony, bro. I was a real live horse. And she was leading me around on a bridle. Like wherever she wanted me to go, I went, and she was feeding me apple slices out of her hand. And I was just eating them. I was a horse, man. And I looked at her, and I seen the joy in her eyes, man. Because she realized that I was a pony. She was like, damn, this motherfucker's a pony. Right? Right? And I had a moment of clarity, right? And a moment of clarity has best been described to me as the moment when God paralyzes the liar in my mind long enough for me to see the truth. And I saw what surrender was. I had surrendered to this little girl, man, wholeheartedly. I was out of self completely, man. And I came to the conclusion that that's the type of surrender God wants from me on a daily basis. Man, so I try to do that, man. That's all I got.
Thanks, Richard. Let's give Richard another round of applause. Thank you.